I will call this meeting to order. Certification, the open meeting requirements have been met. Somebody certifying, or am I stuck with that? I guess, as far as I know, they were all there. I haven't heard anything different. We have a 16-item agenda. Looking for,
I'll second that.
okay, any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There we go. Adoption of previous minutes.
Move to approve.
I'll
Second.
second that.
Okay, second by Addie. I caught his first. I saw his lips move. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I will open the public comment period just because it's here. I don't see anybody in the room. Members of the public will have 15-minute block of time to comment on today's agenda items. Members may be present in person or call in to make such comments. To comment by telephone, call 715-538-1894. Public comment may be extended or curtailed at discretion of the committee board chair after advisement by committee board. I don't see any lights on the phone, so we'll leave it open for a little bit and move right on to item 6. And Susan's in charge of that.
Good morning. I thank you for the time and thanks for moving it up. There were a number of materials in your packet. There was a proposed ordinance. There was the resolution, which I know we're getting to. There was also the 2023 Wisconsin Act 207 as well. And I brought extra copies of the WCA recommended ordinance template just in case you guys needed that. I can circulate that if you would like. It's very similar to what was, here, I'm gonna just bring it to you. And Supervisor Becker, I can give that to you later if you need it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and I can go through probably line by line, both between the draft ordinance as well as the draft, the WCA draft ordinance. The first, and so how would you like me to start before I go explain the need, or?
Whatever works for you.
Okay, probably just real quickly before I get to going through line by line, with that 2023 Wisconsin Act 207, it did change some of the requirements that counties have regarding foreclosures through the county. Also, there was a reference to Tyler v. Hennepin, which is a United States Supreme Court case that required that anytime the county sold tax deeded property and there were amounts in excess, then the county's cost, the county is to return those amounts back to the former owner. Act 207 provides some of the mechanisms on how to do that. It cleans up a couple other things from an earlier piece of legislation. It also, I should note, because this is a change, and it says it in here as well, it eliminates a county's authority to exchange tax deeded properties with municipalities for no consideration. So that was also part of 207. So what Lori Halama and I did last year, as well as Michelle Rose when she was an incumbent, and now the new treasurer, we started going through the proposed ordinance template, looking at ours, and then just trying to coordinate the two. Also coordinate with practice. So starting with, if I can, any questions about why we're doing it?
No.
Okay. 1309 is the sales and use tax. The changes there were just to basically clean up citations. We no longer need to say that it was effective October 1st, 1995. Just kind of updates and revisions. And that is the same all the way through 1301. That is also the same in 1302. So, if there's any questions about either of those? And then within the draft, 1303 as well as 1304, my recommendation would be just to get rid of them and recreate 1303, which is similar to what the WCA had recommended. I'll try to highlight also where the differences are, because I think the differences will, with the committee's familiarity with these will probably be somewhat self-explanatory, but they're important to note. So as seen within both the draft template as well as the WCA draft template, we did adopt most of the terms when we reviewed it. However, we added in last known address. We wanted to make sure it was clear that it is the owner's responsibility to keep the treasurer's office aware and notified of any sort of address to use. So that is a difference. Regarding the administration, they're similar through until C. This was one where we were trying to balance what the treasurer does with making sure that the exec finance committee was kept informed. And so you'll probably see that a couple of times. That's primarily where some of the extra language is throughout the whole county drafted version, is to ensure that the committee is kept informed of what is going on. There are one or two other times, but that C is where there is a difference.
And what we're saying here, we're not even considering in their proposal about the committee and that sort of thing. We've eliminated that out of our,
If that's what the committee wants.
I would think so.
It allows the treasurer to do it.
Open to anybody else's.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
We were trying to keep it consistent with practice, but making sure that communication occurred. Let's see, I think D is fairly consistent with the provision. I will note that one thing that we were concerned about was the timing. Because next year, it shortens down to 180 days to have the land sold. So we were building that into this as we were going through, where sometimes the days might be shorter, and that's why, to try to make sure the county had sufficient time to comply. Let's see, I think E is fairly consistent, it's the notice to the former owner of a potential sale with revenue. I think F is also, again, and just to clarify F and C, F still allows for the exec finance committee to be consulted when there's any discussion about appraisals. So there's some overlap between the two. If you go to, and I'm on 13.5, which starts with G. The timelines, as I mentioned, were shortened to allow for the sale to occur. That was primarily where you will see the difference between the two. And our recommendation when Lori and I looked at that is just to start working with 180 this year, because we'd have to amend our ordinance next year anyways to comply with the statute. So just to put that in effect now. And I'm now on 13.6. There is just a mechanism for under J, which is a little bit wordy, but it is to what do you do when you're selling the land? What do you do when there's maybe not the easiest of sales for a particular parcel? And so that spells it out. One thing that is in here that I don't believe is in the draft ordinance is one, what do you do if you have multiple heirs or beneficiaries? And what my recommendation would be here, as well as in earlier conversations, would be that we have a court order. We have something that's specifying when we have multiple heirs or beneficiaries that could equally take that, and they disagree, then they provide us with a court order on who we should provide the proceeds to. If they are, of course, claiming together, they can claim together. So that's what M essentially says. And as I indicated before, Lori and I were trying to align practice with making sure that the committee was kept informed, so that is why Ann is included. So I don't know if there are any questions, but that's roughly it.
Any questions? So, do we have
Move
a
to approve as
resolution?
amended.
I'm sorry?
What's that?
I move to approve as amended.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. How do you up to speed on what we're talking about here?
Yep, yep.
Okay. Well, without any other questions, all in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Yep. No nays, I don't think, it can be. Okay, it's approved.
Yeah, and just as a matter of formality, is the resolution also approved as drafted, if we could go to that.
Oh, okay, so where are we going?
We just need a vote on the resolution too.
On the resolution itself, okay? Did you want to read the resolution?
I can.
Okay.
Yep, that is fine. Amendment to Trempealeau County Ordinance, Chapter 3, Taxation. Whereas Trempealeau County has previously adopted the use of the in rem foreclosure process available through Wisconsin statute, Chapter 75, land sold for taxes to enforce tax liens. Whereas in the U.S. Supreme Court case Tyler v. Hennepin County, I'm going to skip the internal citations. The Supreme Court found that a county may not retain any proceeds from tax foreclosed property in excess of the amounts owed and its costs. And whereas through the 2023 Wisconsin Act 207, the Wisconsin legislature amended certain sections of Wisconsin statutory Chapter 75, with those amendments reflected in the Supreme Court's holding in Tyler. And whereas Trempealeau County Ordinance Chapter 13 was last amended in 2016, and this amendment would incorporate these referenced legal updates as well as make other timely updates. Whereas the amendments are set forth in the attachment to this resolution, but include the repeal of Trempealeau County Ordinance Sections 1303 and 1304, and the creation of a new Section 1303 to incorporate these referenced updates. Whereas the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors further holds that these amendments specify the desired process for the sale of tax deeded land in Trempealeau County. Now be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors hereby approves this amendment to Trempealeau County Ordinance Chapter 13, including the repeal of Trempealeau County Ordinance Sections 1303 and 1304, and the creation of a new 1303. Introduced by Zach Finance.
Move to approve.
Motion? Second. Second by Doc. Any questions on the resolution? All in favor of moving this on to full county board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Negative? 0.
Thank you.
Do you want signatures on that? Do you have anything else?
Do you want me to do the quarterly?
Have you got time?
I do, if it's okay to move it
Okay.
up.
Seems though Susan does have time left yet for her corporation council update. We will take that now, unless somebody objects.
Nope.
Thank you. I have another matter at 9 o'clock that might take some time, so I appreciate it. So just to give an update regarding the department, a brief update in 2024 in general. So we had 41 mental health commitments in 2024. That's fairly consistent with the last 2 years' number, 2 years of numbers. 2023 was 42, I was 43 in 2022. I would note that we have had 2 appellate cases that have gone through briefing, and the county has been successful in both of those appeals. One of those briefs is now before the Supreme Court. Wisconsin Supreme Court will see if they take the petition that the appellants have, they have essentially requested to have the matter heard. The county did object to that, and so we're kind of in limbo trying to see what will happen. We do have 2 other matters that are out there. I do have one conflict from a previous time in prior litigation, and so I'm raising that because I didn't do the earlier litigation, and depending on how that goes forward, we might also need outside counsel to draft that brief because of that conflict. I'm currently watching it to see where it goes. The department has also provided a significant amount of training with HHS staff. I think at the last meeting, I talked about meeting with the chiefs and providing training. We've also, in collaboration with HHS staff, met with the jailers and provided training. And in March, we're gonna go through the Trempealeau County Sheriff's Office and provide training. And it's gonna be mostly on Chapter 51, which is the mental health commitment, but we'll throw in 54 and 55 as well. Guardianships, pretty similar. I didn't write down the numbers, but I do remember looking at it. They were fairly close to 2023. We had 15 new guardianships. We've had a range of issues within guardianships in general with some previous practices that needed to be addressed. As I mentioned, we do have a Court of Appeals matter where there's a potential conflict. What we've noticed, and I want to share this because I think when it comes out, sometimes by other counties and transfers, it's not always clear. So for the county to have jurisdiction over those types of cases, the person either needs to be, and I'm speaking generally, they need to either be here when the action starts, or they need to be one of our residents. And since it's been an issue in the news, I asked for HHS for the numbers, because I also participate in the declining or the denial. For guardianships, we had 6 requests from out of counties to accept individuals who were taken into custody outside of our county. 3 were ours, 3 were not. And for MEs, we had 7 requests. We accepted 2, and 5 were declined. I would note that when we do that, we often pull up the property records. I know that I pulled up multiple property records and shared those property records with the counties that were requesting it to show that that was in fact in their county. It does happen. It's happened in the past, and it increases our costs when we accept people who are not ours. So I wanted to highlight that again, that it does happen. And we've had a lot of requests in the last year to accept people who are not ours. It doesn't mean that we won't start the action if they are here and there's an emergent need. That will happen. And then we'll figure it out on the back end. But on the front end, or we're not going to accept people who are not Trempealeau County residents, especially when we can clearly find through land records that they are not. So minor guardianships, they continue to be few. We had 4 last year. We had 1 new one that's been completed in January. We have a termination coming and another possible matter. Those have been sporadic, it seems like, for the last couple of years, where we're just not getting a huge amount. Child support has been very busy. As you guys know, there's a state reimbursement amount for that. Without having child support here, I can say, at least anecdotally, or I can show it through the hours, my time has pretty much doubled in the last 8 months just for child support cases. And we have a second block, so they've been busy. When child support goes to law enforcement, they can talk about their cases and some of the nuances, but they've actually risen quite a bit as well. Those of you we have a couple of other things going on. We talked about both in department head meetings as well as in other forums, the Judicial Officer Privacy Act. So that's going to be implemented here relatively soon. We're waiting on a couple of things from the WCA and the state, but there's a group that's meeting on it. A lot of work has been done on Chapter 13. There will be continued work, and there has been on HIPAA and privacy, and we'll continue to talk about that, and we'll be bringing something forward because we need to start talking about which county departments and sometimes divisions are covered by HIPAA and which are not. So Any questions about any of that?
The big increase in support, what do you attribute it to that, to us doing a better job? Or are conditions out there becoming that much worse?
That's a really good question. So I know that we have more cases. I do know that. I've been hesitant to put the numbers down on here because some of it is because of duplication. They're receiving a duplicate referral for some of them. So I didn't want to confuse that issue. But I do know that we have been, as a county, more attentive to some of the non-compliance issues than in the last 2 or 3 years. So trying to make sure that people are paying for their kids.
Anybody else have any questions?
Let me know if you do. Oh,
One more?
sure.
We were told at legislative conference that all 72 counties are being sued over this tax situation. Have you heard anything on that?
That is correct. Trempealeau County was named. We are not named in the same, we are one of the defendants, but there are defendants who are named with specific plaintiffs in cases, meaning specific instances, I should say, rather than cases, but instances of where they are disputing any sort of sale of their foreclosed upon land. We have not, but we are included.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, we have not been served.
Right. And just a little bit of background, that's in regard to tax foreclosure sales from 87 to 22?
I have not received the full,
That's what Andy Phelps said.
yeah, yeah. What I,
Could go all the way back to 1987, which I don't know if hope we got records for that.
I would hope so
I know
too.
there should be nothing from the last 6 years at least.
I think, this is it's an important thing to make sure that people are in compliance. For example, we already talked about Tyler and V. Hennepin. However, I think there also has to be care not to go too far back before there was a change in the law and before you were operating under different law. And that's what some of it seems at this point.
So, just one more thing to have in the back of the mind.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There's always lots of stuff.
Anybody have anything else for Susan? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
County sales tax update. You all should have had it. We're $17 and, was it 90 cents short from our budget?
52 cents,
What's that?
1752.
52, that's what it was, yeah. Any questions on it otherwise? Okay. General fund. Any questions on that?
There was a bit of a change on the general fund when I was going through some stuff with Paul. A couple weeks back, he noted on the 1130, you'll notice on the slip, on the list of things, there's a correction from, there was an account that had lapsed, so we actually put 12,635 back in, so that raised your amount to up to 2.6 million. It raised it up a little bit from a lapse that Paul had to fix last year.
Okay. I don't know if this is an appropriate question or not, but is there anything looking like any overages will come back into that yet this year? Haven't seen any, okay? Okay? Any questions? Susan already gave us her update. The next one, Joe, you're up with the Veterans Department report.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. All right, couple of updates from the Veterans Office. First, Wade will be out of the office for the next 10 weeks on paternity leave. His daughter was born on Valentine's Day. Very exciting for him. She showed up a month early, so that kind of threw everything for a loop. So we've been I've been playing a little bit of double duty because he had a lot of appointments still on his calendar that were still going to be taking place before he was set to leave. So it's been a little stressful there, but we'll take care of it. Otherwise, we have 121 current and active claims working through the VA system. Pretty much the normal 100+ that we have for our county size. Federal benefits for 2024. We have 1,800 veterans currently in the county who are receiving VA benefits in the form of either compensation or pensions. In total, that is about $11 million that's being brought into the county with the different types of VA benefits. Of that, we have 81 veterans who are receiving the tax and property credit. So every year they are getting a waiver for their property taxes in our county. That covers about $353,000 a year that is being paid out by the state. So that's pretty fantastic for our veterans. To qualify for that, a veteran has to be rated at 100%. There are a couple of deals going on right now where they're trying to lower that threshold to 70%, but at this time, 100% is where it's at. I have processed 9 separate Wisconsin GI Bill applications in our area, and then also have currently showing 841 medical patients within the VA system, which I still think is a really low number. That's up last year, I think I had 700, and this year we're over 800, which I'm happy I got those other people enrolled, or we were able to get them enrolled. But with 1,800 veterans that are currently receiving compensation, the number of individual medical patients should be significantly higher. So I'm still not sure where that disconnect is and why that's happening. We've been pushing on the radio show 4 times a month. We have a veteran liaison on the radio, advertising this information. I still am just not sure why there's such a huge percentage of our veterans who are eligible for medical benefits but not taking advantage of that. I just don't know what that's from. Lastly, 2 items, both transportation and CVSO grants have been completed. The transportation was submitted. The CVSO grant I have to do some changes on it. The Wisconsin Department of Veteran Affairs has created an online portal for submitting that grant, and I didn't know that. So I tried to submit it the normal way, which was before sending it to an email box. It got bounced back, and now they want me to submit it through the portal. Their portal is a little different it has some different requirements, so I have to kind of just rearrange the way the documents are going to be submitted to them. So I should have that done this week. It's not due until next week anyways. And then lastly, there is a Veteran Bonanza that's going to be taking place in La Crosse County, April 8th, that we will be at. It's a Tuesday, which I think is a little strange, but since it's not our county, you don't really have a choice with that. But that'll be from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. in La Crosse, and that'll be at the Omni Center in Onalaska. And that's everything for me. Any questions or concerns?
Bigger questions? Just one off the wall one. We've been hearing news reports about our illustrious national government and cutting funds. Have you seen any indication that it's affecting you and Trempealeau County?
The only effect we have noticed so far is there has been a major cut in the number in 2 areas with federal VA. Nothing has directly affected us or the state's budget or things like that. Those funds are already there for us. The 2 major changes that I've noticed, one of them is actually very good news for us. I actually had a conversation with the Secretary of Wisconsin Department of Veteran Affairs. He came in last week on Thursday and stopped by the office just to give us an update. One of the things is that there will be an availability for small counties in Wisconsin to apply for federal grants for VA, and that has never happened before. That was a bill that was passed and kind of pushed by Tammy Baldwin. What that will entail is that our county is going to be able to apply for federal funds, which is going to be huge because the lowest grant available for a county of our size is over $200,000. And if we could get that, we can expand our services exponentially. Currently, Wisconsin does not have a way to apply for that grant yet, only because the systems aren't in place for it. But once they are, they'll get in touch with me and let us know how to go about that. The other major change is that VA has cut a number of personnel in the federal area. Those personnel were all employees that were on their 1-year kind of temporary probation. The issue with that is that the majority of the new employees that VA hired with the PACT Act was less than a year ago. So all those brand-new employees that they had hired to try and cut down the wait times have all been terminated. So we're kind of back to the same situation we were about a year ago, with waits being over a year for any type of service through VA, federal VA, which is absolutely ridiculous, but that's kind of the biggest change. I wish I had more information on it, but I don't.
Yep, thank you. Anybody
All
else
right.
have any questions?
All right, thank you, everyone.
Yep. Item 11 is the resolution for the creation of and delegation to subcommittee to hear certain delinquent property payment claims. Anybody else up to speed on that one?
That was the one that we had at county board. They had, it was just a verbal, and I think
Right.
Susan needed it as a
So
resolution, so
there's a resolution here
Yeah.
for it that we,
so I have that with.
yeah, that we need to look at and approve to move on. Is anybody
I'll
not?
make a motion to approve to pass it on to the full county board.
You want to read it?
Do I?
Yeah.
No, you can,
Can.
yeah.
If I can read my printing.
Got your mic on? Yeah, it looks like.
Whereas per Wisconsin statute 74.69, each taxpayer owning property in a Wisconsin county is responsible for paying property taxes in a timely manner, and if not timely paid, paying the penalty due to the taxpayer's delinquency pursuant to Wisconsin statute 74.11 paren 11. And whereas if a taxpayer believes the delay in timely payment was due to a United States Postal Service, USPS, postal error, the taxpayer may utilize the review process under Wisconsin statute 74.69 paren 3. And whereas Wisconsin statute 74.69 paren 3 specifies the procedure a county may follow when asked to act on a filed request, and that this provision further allows for a Wisconsin County Board committee, other committee, or official to hear and make determinations in these types of matters upon a county board's delegation of authority under this section. And whereas delegating this authority to a new subcommittee in Trempealeau County would allow taxpayers to utilize these statutory provisions while balancing the need for systemic efficiency and the conservation of Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors resources. And whereas the membership of the new subcommittee should be comprised of 3 members reflective of their roles and responsibilities. Those 3, namely being the Trempealeau County Board Chair, the Executive Finance Committee Chair, and the County Administrator, with each having the ability to delegate an alternate if unable to participate at a given meeting. And whereas while certain procedures are already specified within Wisconsin statute 74.69 paren 3, which control overall, the committee by majority vote may require the production of additional documentation or information before taking further action on a filed request if deemed necessary to act with finality. And whereas per Wisconsin statute 74.69 paren 3 paren E, the creation of this subcommittee does not affect the Trempealeau County Treasurer's consideration of whether the payment was timely or whether there was a delay or administrative error caused by the United States Postal Service. And the subcommittee may consult with the Trempealeau County Treasurer as it deems appropriate and necessary. Now be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors hereby delegates the authority to hear and decide these claims under Wisconsin Statute 74.69(3) as set forth herein, to a new subcommittee comprised of the Trempealeau County Board Chair, the Executive Finance Committee Chair, and the County Administrator.
Next lines are introduced by us. So,
Did we have a
is
second on it?
anybody not up to speed on this?
Did we have a second on it? We did, huh?
We didn't have a motion yet.
Oh, I thought
I
you,
made
I
the
made the
motion.
motion, I didn't.
I made the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so, I was watching for Audie's lips to move, but I didn't see it. Okay, now we have a section. That says, is there anybody not up to speed on this? Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay, we have a motion to move this on to full county board. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item. Resolution urging governor, even as Wisconsin legislator, to support county courts with Mary Lee had that out here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right.
Morning.
Today I bring this proposed resolution in conjunction with the Wisconsin Clerks of Circuit Court Association and the Wisconsin Counties Association to urge our governor and the Wisconsin legislator to support the county courts. In 2003, the total cost to Wisconsin counties for running all circuit courts was $237 million. At the same time, the court support funding from the state to counties was only $28 million, 12% of the actual cost to run local courts. The circuit court system is intended to be a state-county partnership. The state's fiscal responsibilities includes judges, court reporters, CCAP equipment, and the circuit court cost appropriation. The counties are fiscally responsible for a majority of the other functions of the circuit court. Over the last 10 years, the increase of the county portion of cost to run the courts is nearly 6 times higher than the increase in the circuit court cost appropriations provided to cover these costs. And counties now pay almost $150 million more than the state does in unbalanced circuit court costs. We are asking Trempealeau County to join our efforts to increase the circuit court cost appropriation by $70 million payable to Wisconsin counties in the 25-27 Wisconsin state budget. And I will add, there has been an update since I did get this on the agenda. I believe that has been put into the budget, which is fantastic. However, we are still looking to get all 72 counties on board with this so they do realize more funding is continuously needed.
Okay,
Just because it's in the budget, don't mean it's gonna go through.
right, right.
That is true. That is
A
true.
question, I had the conversation with you in regard to that number.
Yes, that
Did
is
you do any
the-
research? Is that 25
That-
accurate?
that is
Or should
correct.
that be 26?
That is, nope, that is the
Okay.
25-27 budget.
Okay,
Correct. Any other questions?
I move to approve.
okay.
I'll second
And
that.
a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion and/or action on county meal reimbursement policy, and I believe, well, it says Rebecca has a memo. Do we have something on that?
She just
Oh, you got something?
she mailed me something, what did I do with it? I just talked to her this morning, anyway. Her suggestion, she has, if you look in, or I have it on my computer, I don't know if, did everybody get it? She sent
Yep,
one
yeah,
this
it
morning.
was,
It showed what, like Eau Claire County, Eau Claire is actually,
oh, I didn't get that, no. I just
let's
got
see if I
it.
can dig it up here.
It's on a, I think it's on a separate email, right?
Yeah, I just got it this morning. Let's see if I can find it.
Oh,
All right, you sucker. Oh, it's on my other computer. Why isn't it here? Huh.
I did not get anything this morning on mine, so.
yeah, I don't have anything
I
either.
haven't been on this for a while. I haven't been on this computer for a while, son. Come on. Update here, you sucker. Come on here. Well, anyway, she just sent me a separate email too that
This is the old reimbursement
the old one up that we got,
resolution.
yeah.
Okay.
we have the old one here. Oh, here it is. Mule examples.
Bottom line, there's not going to be a decision made on it today.
Probably,
Could be. I don't know why not.
Well,
It has to go through full county board, and I'd like to get it there, so, you know. We have people complaining that.
does Rebecca recommend certain numbers on your?
I told her, I asked her, about she called about something else, but I said, you were gonna study the reimbursement policy for meals, and, she said, yeah, I got that. I sent it to Mary, she said, but you never got it. So, oh, anyway.
So I did some research as well, and I forwarded it to Rebecca. It was in regards to, there is a federal website that you can go to and you can plug in any zip code that you want to. It's like US Gov, and I can't remember what the link is, but you can plug in any zip code in the country, and it will give you an average of what the meals cost for whether it be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And right now, for instance, if you were going to go and have lunch, say, in a hotel or a regular restaurant in Stevens Point, it's $24 for lunch. Most hotels that people are staying at is relatively expensive if you're eating at the hotel. But sometimes there isn't anything local or safe to travel to that you would go and eat somewhere else. Having said that, I also gave her the information within the village of Trempealeau. We recently just passed, well, roughly maybe 6 months to a year ago, per diem rate. But that per diem rate was dependent on if the conference had meals provided or if it didn't. So I think there's a number of ways we could go on this. I guess the other question that came up was, would the county be willing to prepay the employee before they leave for travel? Or would they stick to the reimbursement? My argument was you save a lot of administration time if you just pay a flat rate. Or if you want to use the rates that are set within that, looks like they update that website, the government website, annually, so they should be fairly up to date. Or reimburse at that rate, depending on what city they're traveling to. Well, and that's what brings you to, there's administrative, but there's also a time administratively to check people's invoices or receipts when they bring them in after they've traveled. So I think either way you do it, you're going to have some administrative costs, but those were all the things that go into this process. And I see that there probably is a need to get this thing before the full county board and have it take effect I'm just not sure if Rebecca has done any further research other than some of the stuff I gave her.
She's got City of Manitowoc, Jackson County. City of Manitowoc presently is 10, 15, and 25 is their new rate. Used to be 8, 12, and 20. And Jackson County is 10, 15, and 25, the same. She did mention yours. City of Eau Claire is 8, 10, and 20, same as basically what we were before, actually less. Buffalo County is 7, 10, and 15. That's all she had. But anyway, I suggested 12, 15, and 25, and she said 10, 15, and 25, but she'd go along with the 12. And I think it should be, they should bring in a slip, because if you just give them a flat per diem, there's a lot of, I'd never charge for a meal, even if I have to pay for one. I never charge for a meal because I gotta figure I gotta eat anyway. And whether you're on the road eating or eating at home, it's still gonna be some cost. And the cost difference is probably about what it would cost you to eat at home if you'd have stayed at home. So I figure if you got $12 for breakfast, it costs you a minimum of $3, $4 even if you're eating at home. Especially with the price of eggs.
So you'd be looking at $52 a day.
Yeah, but I don't want it paid out ahead of time because I would say 85 to 90% of my meals are paid for by wherever I'm going. They got some sort of a box lunch or something, that's, And she's actually in Washington right now, and she said basically all her meals there have been furnished too through NICO, so.
Did your numbers come up to 52 or to 50?
That came up 25, 15, well, that'd be 52 with my 12. It depends on whether you would do 12 or 10.
And I would say generally when employees travel to educational experiences, that lunch is typically provided, whether it be a box lunch or a sit-down lunch or buffet, whatever that might be. Typically, though, breakfast is typically not a full breakfast. It's usually continental, but it's something to tide you over. However, dinner typically is not included. And that is probably the highest cost to employees. My recommendation to the committee, given everything that I've seen, is I would not mess with the administrative work that's being done. I think even if we had a per diem, we save more money on the back end, not having staff people checking that at all the time. And if the employee's traveling and they're gone for a full day, that they get a per diem rate of, say, 50 for the day or whatever that number is. And if they're there for a half-day conference, they get a per diem rate of 25. If their conference ends at noon or whatever that is. And then get rid of all of the administrative costs.
Oh, we got Stacy here. How much time do you spend on that? You wanna?
Not a lot, it should be done in office. I mean,
Yeah, it should be done before, should by department heads or.
It should be done before it gets to me that it should be checked. Same with the credit card, like every sheriff's deputy has their own credit card, so when they go to conference, Carol takes their card away, if they're over, you pay a tip, you pay booze, you pay me right away, she makes them. And if not, you give me your credit card. And that's something Mary and I'd like to change about how we handle the credit card. But, I think things have been overlooked about this per diem. Have you known it's taxable to you? Also, I do believe federal rules state I still have to get a receipt with those meals.
Whether you do a per diem, or whether you do a daily
They
per
have to
diem
get a
or not.
receipt anyway, you're saying.
Yeah,
Either
still
way,
have to
so
have something to back it up.
This will be a savings.
Yeah, and it will be taxable. Per diem, when you pay someone a flat rate like that, that's taxable income to them. That's not a reimbursement expense anymore.
So they're better off taking the meal by meal,
Right.
as far as tax purposes.
I'd be inclined to adjust a little bit from what I've been hearing so far is using the numbers you're talking about for a total of 50 or 52, that be their maximum for the day, but if they want to skip breakfast and lunch and eat a $35 dinner, that would still come under the umbrella of $52. But I don't quite know how you work that in, but,
I think you'd then almost have to just figure out a per diem rate.
Right.
And how they utilize it is how they utilize it.
Right.
but then we go back to a taxable item again for them. If you do it on a per diem basis.
Well, unless you would say it's a meal reimbursement up to that number, $50 in a
Right.
day. So if they submit one receipt and it's $10 and they submit another receipt for the second day,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
47. And it's 2 meals, it doesn't matter, they fall within the threshold to get it
Right,
reimbursed.
that's where I was going
So
with.
then, okay, so yeah, that, I would be on the same page as that. And then let them choose how
Right, yeah.
they're
It's-
spending it.
It still goes back to having to track that receipt to make sure they hit that 50
Right.
for the day.
But they're already tracking them anyway, right?
Yep.
In the departments, so then that wouldn't change.
Right.
But I think it gives flexibility for employees too when they're traveling. And again, maybe you offer a meal reimbursement of $25 for a half-day conference
Right, yeah, you do-
and 50 for a full-day conference. Or if you figure most half-day conferences are mornings, you say, okay, well, it's $20 and 50 for a full day.
Back to what are we paying right now again?
We're paying 9, 11,
Nine.
and 20.
9, 11, and 20, okay.
Which totals to
So
$40.
we're
a
40,
day.
we're only going up $10.
And who's going to monitor the fact that if there's a meal at the conference or if there's not? That's not going to matter? You're just going to give them a per diem for the day?
That's what I don't like about it. I mean, if we get a box lunch at a conference, that's your meal. You shouldn't get, I don't know.
But-
I don't know if,
but
I
aren't we-
what-
aren't we-
I know I don't ever charge
Aren't we
for a
saying
meal.
a receipt is required, right?
Yeah, and what prevents them from submitting breakfast, lunch, and dinner at these amounts? And their conference already covers those.
Right.
Nothing right now. So
there's
it wouldn't
receipts
be
right
any
now, right?
different.
Right.
Why would you get a receipt for a breakfast if you didn't have it?
You wouldn't, and then you'd have nothing to submit, right? You'd still have to submit a receipt.
Right.
But what Dave's saying is that if lunch is provided at the conference and you've got, I don't know, $40 for the day, because it's a full-day conference, $50, whatever that number is, then you need to provide a receipt for that dinner.
Right,
And you'll be reimbursed for
for the dinner, right.
the dinner, but as, at a per diem rate. So if you have, I don't know, steak, dessert, and the whole ball of wax, and it's a $65 bill, you're not being reimbursed $65.
Whatever the top end is
You
with the
have a
$50,
limit,
or whatever the top
like you
end
do
is.
here. And to your point, John, I realize whether you're gone traveling or you're at home, you have to eat irregardless. But these are typically things that, educational things that either they're required to do to maintain certifications or educational experiences, and you don't really have an option when you need to travel to eat at home, because obviously it's much cheaper.
Oh, we have
To eat
4
at home.
employees here. I'd like to hear what the employees have to say. What do you think it should be? What do you think it should be, Mary?
The way it works right now, if you want to up the prices for the meal, I think that, but there's still going to be the administrative part of it, so I don't see how you're getting away from that. And who is, like you said, if they track the breakfast, if there's a breakfast at the conference and a lunch, they shouldn't be turning in any receipts, because that was paid at their registration. You paid more for the registration because of
Right.
those meals, so.
I know
there's still
most of the
gonna-
registrations for board members, it's included, because I bring my wife along and I have to pay for her meals.
And will the employees be happy having to be paying tax on that per diem? Are they, they probably
they
don't
would be
realize
liking
that's
that.
part of it.
What do you think there, Tammy? it might, this might be low. This, like Rebecca's was 10, 15, and 25, and I suggested 12, 15, and 25, but maybe that's still too low, I don't know. Anybody else got well, you go to conferences and stuff, do you have to buy meals?
I do. Depends on the conference. If you have lunch available, you take the lunch that they provide. But sometimes you have to purchase breakfast or supper or whatever there might be.
So, like, we've been at 9, 11, and 20, which is low. Do you have a suggested?
I think 9 is low. I think it'd be very difficult to buy a
I
lunch.
suggested 12 for breakfast, because I know I bought breakfast at Park the last time I was down there for Wisconsin County Utility Tax Association meeting, and it cost me 16 something for a buffet breakfast. Coffee costs you a couple bucks. And it's funny, some places don't have nothing, most places have a continental breakfast of some sort, but Madison's kind of unusual, where not very many places have a continental breakfast.
Yeah, well, breakfast in Madison was $24 for basic breakfast, very
Yeah.
basic.
So maybe it should go higher than this, I don't know. I would like to come up with a figure so we get it in because this year is just starting and conferences are just starting. I know this is basically coming from law enforcement because they got trainings coming up and stuff like that. And so I would like to come up with a figure that we get it done as soon as possible, maybe get it done by this next board meeting, and so we can start it in April 1st or something.
So you're thinking like maybe, I mean, obviously, I think Rebecca's numbers are coming in line with some of the other local
Yeah,
counties.
I think they're all gonna have to raise sooner or later, it just,
Do we want to look at this every year? Give it a shot now? It would be nice, but food, going out to eat is changing so fast.
Yep.
yeah. I mean, you can't even go to McDonald's for
Good.
$10 anymore,
No, it's
My
$12
wife and I
at
had basics
McDonald's.
at Culver's yesterday, it was $25.
Yeah.
That was a Coke and a hamburger for each of us, basically.
Yeah.
I would even be suggestive, if you want to go per meal, then to be at 15, 15, and 30.
So then we would go to $60.
Maybe 15, 20.
We went from 40 to 60, which is a nice increase.
I
I
think-
kind of go
But
along.
it's, I mean, if we're going to look at it every year, it doesn't necessarily mean that if food prices drop and restaurant prices drop dramatically, we drop these.
They aren't
It's
gonna
not
drop.
likely,
Right.
They're not.
but
gonna
we
drop.
also, I don't think their pocketbook necessarily should be impacted because they need to go for training.
Well, I'd be willing to go along with the 15, 20, 30. 15, 20, 30, I think dinner should be more than breakfast. But
So we'd be at
15, 20, and 30.
$65 a day.
$65, from $40 to $65?
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Sounds like we're getting someplace. Somebody want to make a motion? to
Well, I'll
that
make a
effect?
motion
You
to
say
go-
basically leave it.
I agree with John. I think
Receipts
that's-
required.
that's pretty
And then go to
close.
that number. Is that what?
Okay. I'll make a motion, and we it basically just can follow the same old language, except the dates.
Oh,
Can I address one more thing while you're talking?
Please.
If you're
Yeah.
doing the meal policy and you're changing the meals, that's great, but just so you remember, no tips and no alcohol are included in our thing. Tips are sometimes automatically generated on a receipt. That's one of the basic things that I end up changing at audit committee time is that they include that. Just so you remember, keep that in mind that those are still out there, no tip, no alcohol.
which is current policy. Correct. Right.
And are we also saying that we're not going to pay for meal and reimbursements when the function provides them?
They'd have to have a receipt, so if they're
Yeah.
provided,
have a
there's
receipt.
no
So,
receipt.
and that's already being
Right.
Yeah.
looked at, so.
There's nothing on this current resolution that says anything about alcohol or
I'm guessing that that would be in the employee policy
It's in the employee
somewhere.
handbook. But maybe it should be in resolutions too, just in case board members. start-
Just so that it's very clear.
Yeah. Do you think we can change the resolution to add that, Susan?
Yes, I'm coming in this a little bit late, but yes, I would just make a motion to amend what you're looking at with the resolution.
Yeah, to include, be it resolved that it does not cover, tip and liquor.
Your motion, if I heard it right.
It's already in the,
But
this-
Where is it?
it's right under the amounts. It says that receipts are required and there is
Oh, no, okay.
no
it is. I
reimbursement
missed
for
that one.
tips
I
or
missed it.
alcohol.
Okay, it's in there.
Yep,
So then all we need is
the numbers.
the numbers changed. I would like to increase the numbers to 15 for breakfast, 20 for lunch, and 30 for dinner.
I think that should be more than fair, even if they're traveling to
Do
a
I have
city
a
like
second?
Madison.
And that's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Anybody else with any questions or comments?
Yeah, would this be retroactive to the first of the year and when we get
It's
it?
kind of hard to go back, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Don't do that to me.
Yeah, I would say it starts,
We
Starts,
don't want it to go back. It'll
I would
be
say it starts April, first pay period in April.
yep,
April 1st, okay. I had somebody from the
Whenever-
sheriff's
whenever that pay
department question
term-
if maybe we could get it enacted before they go. But
Well-
April 1st more than likely then, huh?
Yeah,
Well, there was also some question about being prepaid before you leave, but if we're handing
We
in
want
receipts, that's not even gonna be possible.
right.
no.
So, because we're not gonna overpay for a
Right.
$22 dinner,
Okay.
so,
Right.
All
seems
clear?
fair, though.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, bid opening for the RFP. Who's here? You are, there she is.
The chair, or one of these two, I would guess.
Give it to the boss. Yeah, actually, you should be sitting there right with them
Yeah.
and recording them.
And my understanding is we're going to open them, make an announcement of who submitted, and then put everything off till the 10th of March to look at them and discuss them. Do I have
Yes.
that right, Susan?
That is my understanding. I don't know. Kara, do you have anything else that you'd want to add with?
And then, no, after we review them, then I will scan them and email them to all the committee members then.
Don't touch yourself.
Uh-oh, the security see that? He got
Oh, it
through
tears
it
off?
tonight.
Okay. I'll leave it off just in case. Plan RFP.
What are these bids for?
Okay, this is a proposal for comprehensive strategic planning services by CP2 Consulting. And it's all, yeah, the letters and their summary report. And the strategic plan. I think, is there anything else behind? Okay, there's one more. Oh, it's examples of their work, okay? Did you get that?
Do you have an amount?
What's that?
Is there an amount or nothing?
I don't know, are we even gonna talk about the amounts?
We could list, if we list them for all.
Okay. There's time schedule. There we are. Fee for this project, not including stakeholder engagement, is $18,500, and then there's some focus groups, et cetera, for a total package of $27,500.
What was that number again?
27,500 total
27,500.
package. I'll do these over here till we get done. Or do you want to put it back in your package? You can do that too. Response comprehensive. Okay. Agility Insights, Accelerating Value Realization. Certified Small Business, Women-Owned Small Business. Okay, one package.
Somebody's gonna have to go through it and make sure they actually qualified to do this.
Right, yep. Whole lot of stuff listed here, but total project cost 69,750.
69?
69,750.
That's quite a difference.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, there was, appeared to be, to me, a lot more individualized numbers. There's a whole page of different individual, but that's to be looked at. Mighty Penguin Consulting. Come on, fingers. Okay, rate table. Looks like this whole package is 23,407.
Who's that from?
Mighty Penguin Consulting.
Dave, what is this for again?
For the Strategic Planning Services.
And that amount was 18 something, no, 23, you said.
23, yeah.
23 even?
No,
23,000.
2407. Come on, clock right here.
Ready to sign, okay.
Ball sense. Yep, it's going out, isn't it? Maybe.
I see.
Almost as bad as a prom date.
We'll just cut the top of that one too, rather than tear it all to pieces.
Correct? That's just. So just go ahead and sign. And then you're okay on this one. Okay, do those two.
So background information, must be something. Page 22.
Who is this now?
This is strategic, Oh, the Community Planning Services RFP proposal, the Patrick Ibarra, the MEJORANDO Group. Majorando Group. And, no, that's it. The total package is 25,000 even.
Now what?
This is different material again. Now let me in here. I need yours. This is from Innovative Public Advisors.
Did I miss one there? Last one you did was the Morrow Group?
Was 25,000?
Yeah, that was last one?
Yep.
Okay, new one now? This is
New
what?
one.
It can be a pain, it's a pain in the butt to do that each time.
What's the name of this group?
I think. Oh, maybe. Well, I don't know if we're gonna do that today, though. That'll, well, we'll see when we get done.
A lot of people out there looking for business, huh?
Some don't want it very bad. Double the price.
I don't see any numbers. Is there anything with numbers in it? Okay. Okay. And 22,500 from this group.
What is that one called?
Innovative Public Advisors, proposal for, yeah. Innovative Public Advisors. Yep. 22,500, yep. I'll let you figure out how to get it folded back together.
Yeah, and then I'll let you open them.
That last one coming out? There's a lot of interest in it.
I know we're opening these but there's, I'm sure they all offer something different, right? So
Yep.
are we gonna go through that or just say low number wins or we'll have to discuss that?
I think it
Sometimes the low
depends
number
what
don't
they're
make it.
offering per what the cost is.
Right.
That makes a big difference. That could be why the couple of ones were much higher. Because they might include something in it.
Yeah, I'm sure that 6975 must be it. I'm not sending one person in here. Couple of them.
Yeah, that's a lot.
This is for initiatives group. Total package, $26,050.
What was
What
that
was
number?
IG something?
IG, initiatives group,
Initiatives.
And what number?
26,050. This one, I didn't see this on other ones. We are open to discussing adjustments based on considerations and project scope refinements, so.
They probably are. I think we should have our administrator look these over a little better.
Yep, well, I think administrator, corp counsel.
Yeah.
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 Have a meeting when?
Kara, I thought there was a defined group who was going to look at that. Do you recall who was on that group?
Oh,
I
oh,
do not.
and I won't be here for that.
I don't, I was told that
I think
we
Jay-
scan all of these documents and email them to the committee here.
Right.
I think there is a group, Rebecca would be able to answer that. I recall one other individual on that group. I thought there was another person, and I don't recall who that was.
Okay.
I thought there was too, some sort of.
Yeah, I think there is a group. I forget who it is.
I'll follow
And
with
they'll
Becky
come-
on it.
With this
And
many,
then they'll
I
come
would
back
kind
You'll
of,
next
be-
week.
we'd need to find somebody of 1, 2, or 3 type thing to go through it thoroughly, maybe pick 2 or 3.
That's
to
my
move on?
understanding, that the group will do that and then provide information next week
Right, yeah.
after they've had a chance to review it and look at things a little bit further.
She'll be flying back Wednesday, I think. She's flying back tomorrow, but she should be Wednesday again, right? Thursday? Oh, flying back Wednesday.
What do we have, 7 total?
No, 6.
6. Ranging from, was it 23,000 to 69,000?
Yeah.
22,500 was the low bid, right?
22.5, right?
5,
Yeah.
and then your highest was 69.7.
That one's probably thrown out already. It's,
In that range, yeah. Okay, well, my understanding is that's all the farther we're going with this today. To be moved, more discussion to be moved on to our March 10th meeting.
Yes,
Right,
and I'm not gonna be here. In fact, I'm going to Arizona and I'll be either on the plane or just getting, so I definitely won't be part of it.
okay,
I think my flight time is 9:15, so.
yep. Yep. Okay, with that, time of our next regular meeting is
It's gonna be
April
60 here.
7th at 8:30, with the March 10th one at 8 o'clock, I believe, because
Yes, we just discussed it.
there's an 8:30 meeting right after us.
Yeah, property's right after,
Yeah.
which I'll miss that also, I guess.
Okay?
Audie, I guess you're gonna be,
we got a meeting.
this is
on March
Doc, I
10th.
won't be there
March
on.
10th at 8 o'clock.
Okay,
next
I
Monday.
understand.
Yeah.
That's to go
I'm not
over,
gonna be there either.
Go over these?
to go over these, and that's the only item on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, hearing nothing else, anybody have anything for firm they want on the agenda next time or anything? Okay, I will adjourn the meeting at 9:50.